Hey everyone, and welcome back. Amongst many of the new features that have been introduced in Photoshop CS6, there have also been some important updates to some of the existing tools, including the Crop tool, which is used quite a bit when preparing documents or photos for print. The Crop tool has changed so much that some users have actually been discouraged by its new behavior, but once you get used to it, you'll soon realize that its improvements are definitely beneficial. Of course, the Crop tool can be located on your tools bar on the left or by pressing the letter C on your keyboard. When the tool is activated, you're now going to see the crop handle surrounding your image. There are a few key features to take note of with the Crop tool. On the options bar at the top of your workspace, the first drop-down will give you a few options as to the aspect ratio of the crop. By default, your crop is set to unconstrained, which means you're free to drag any of the crop handles to simply chop off an unwanted area of your photo. You're going to notice that when you drag your crop handles, the area of the image that will remain visible stays centered on your workspace. And just like on previous versions of Photoshop, the area that will be removed is slightly darkened. Now keep in mind, if you're planning on printing your photo or document to fill a specific sized paper, performing an unconstrained crop may give you unexpected results when printed. Luckily, Photoshop also has many of the common aspect ratios that are used for photography and print. Going back to the aspect ratios at the top, if you're planning on keeping the current aspect ratio that you shot your image with, original ratio is available to you. This means if the image was taken with a 4:6 aspect ratio, if you were to drag any of your handles inwards, the final crop will always remain 4:6. This is perfect if you're simply looking to chop off a portion of the image while keeping the same aspect ratio. Photoshop also includes many of the common aspect ratios which photographers tend to use. 8:10, 5:7, 4:6. Selecting any of them will automatically resize the crop area to match that ratio and allow you to position your photo and resize it if necessary. When positioning your photo in Photoshop CS6, you're no longer moving the crop area, but you're moving the actual photo instead. This is one behavior that many users find difficult to get used to. However, if you want to activate the old behavior, you can turn on Use Classic Mode under the gear icon on your options bar. Now when you select a custom ratio, just like when you have original ratio selected, pulling on any of your handles will perform a uniform resize, so the selected aspect ratio is maintained. Of course, on your options bar, if you want to rotate from landscape to portrait, the icon beside the input fields will switch between the two orientations. Now keep in mind that these presets are aspect ratios, not dimensions. Applying the current 8:10 preset won't resize my image to 8:10 inches. It simply changes the aspect ratio based on the current dimensions of your image. If you want the crop to change the actual dimensions, you can add the unit in the input field. For example, let's say you do custom printing and one of your available options is a 20:24 inch image. Simply entering 24 and 20 won't force the crop tool to change the dimensions of the image. You need to be sure to include the units such as IN for inches. Now when you press return or enter to apply the crop, the image now has been cropped to 24:20 inches. And if you plan on cropping many images at this size in the future, it may be in your best interest to save this as a preset. With the dimensions still present in the input fields, open up the preset picker and choose Save Preset towards the bottom. Automatically it will name it based on the dimensions, but you're free to change the name if you wish. Once it's saved, at any point in the future you want to crop an image using those exact dimensions, the preset will be waiting for you in your preset picker. Another change that you might have noticed, especially if you've been using previous versions of Photoshop, is that the resolution field is no longer visible on the options bar. But fear not, it's still possible to change the resolution while cropping. In Photoshop CS6, you need to open the Size and Resolution window. This window can be either accessed under the preset picker, or as you can see to the right, you can quickly access it by tapping the R key on your keyboard while the crop area is active. The Size and Resolution window not only allows you to set a width and height in the unit of your choice, but you can also set a resolution. This is very useful if your printer or client needs a specific resolution like 300 pixels per inch. As we're going to discuss in the next video, when preparing documents for print, a higher resolution will produce sharper prints as long as the image wasn't scaled up, which may actually decrease the quality. I'm going to pop in 24:18 inches with a resolution of 300. I can also save this as a new preset within this window as well to cut down on extra steps. So let me accept these changes, create the preset, and then press return or enter to crop the image. One of the really nice changes in Photoshop CS6 is that the crop tool by default is non-destructive. This means that even after you've applied your crop to the image, you still have the ability to move your layers around and even make adjustments to the crop if needed. With the crop tool active again, clicking on the crop area will once again reveal the area that was once cropped out of the photo. Of course, if for whatever reason you want to permanently delete the cropped off area, there's the Delete Cropped Pixels checkbox on your options bar. The last feature that the crop tool contains that may be helpful for photographers is Straighten. Unlike in Photoshop CS5 where Straighten was hidden within the ruler tool, now it's part of the crop tool, which makes a lot more sense. In this image here, the horizon is clearly not level. Instead of attempting to rotate the image and guess when it's straight, you're now able to simply click on the Straighten button up on your options bar and then drag out a line across the area that should be straight, in this case the horizon. Photoshop will show you a preview of the correction, and then pressing Return or Enter will apply the edit. And those are the changes to the crop tool in Photoshop CS6. Every user, especially those who work a lot with photos, should be 100% comfortable with cropping. Hopefully this video helped you out a bit. In the next video, we're going to be creating a business card template in Photoshop to get you comfortable with setting up documents for print. We'll see you soon.